The United States Senate delivered an unexpected rebuke to Donald Trump on Thursday, voting to overturn his sweeping global tariff program that has affected more than 100 countries. In a narrow 51-47 vote, 4 Republican senators joined all Democrats to nullify Trump's reciprocal tariffs, which were imposed through executive order. It was the third time in a single week that Republicans crossed party lines to challenge Trump's trade policies. Previous votes had targeted tariffs on Brazil and Canada. Defying Trump is not a common occurrence within the GOP, especially during his second term. But Senators Susan Collins, Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul, and Lisa Murkowski broke ranks, signaling unease over the president's illegal and unilateral approach to trade. Their decision underscored a broader frustration in Congress with the executive branch's habit of using tariffs as a blunt diplomatic tool. Democrats framed the vote as both a rejection of the tariffs themselves and what they viewed as Trump's overreach of authority. When he sees Republicans starting to vote against his policies, even in small numbers, that makes an impression on him, remarked Democratic Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia, expressing hope that such symbolic gestures might influence Trump's behavior. The Senate's move came as Trump concluded a whirlwind week in Asia, highlighted by a highly publicized but disastrous meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Busan, South Korea. The summit produced what Trump described as an amazing outcome, a temporary easing of trade tensions that he initially caused, and a framework for renewed cooperation after he refused to cooperate by raising tariffs for no reason. Yet the agreement, more truce than treaty, raised questions about durability and depth. Trump boasted that he rated the encounter a 12 out of 10. But as with Trump's plan for Gaza, many analysts saw it as a temporary pause in an ongoing confrontation, rather than a breakthrough. When Trump first launched his trade war with China earlier in the year, he threatened tariffs as high as 145%, claiming they would protect U.S. industries and correct trade imbalances. Beijing vowed to fight to the end, retaliated with its own measures, sparked months of economic turbulence, and over 6 months, tariffs fluctuated wildly. Export controls were imposed and then lifted, and rounds of negotiations took place across global capitals from Madrid to Kuala Lumpur, culminating in the Busan meeting. Despite threats of escalation, U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods ultimately averaged around 55%, far below the embargo-level rates once promised, but still high enough to strain global supply chains. The Chinese economy weathered the storm better than many in Washington anticipated. China's stock market climbed by more than 30% in dollar terms, doubling the gains of the S&P 500, and its trade surplus appeared likely to surpass the previous years. Meanwhile, U.S. inflation crept up to about 3%, fueled in part by the higher import costs the tariffs created, which ultimately are paid for by American consumers. The Busan framework outlined a fragile understanding. China agreed to defer new restrictions on exporting rare earth minerals vital to advanced manufacturing, electric vehicles, and defense industries, and to resume large-scale purchases of American soybeans, a $12 billion market critical to U.S. farmers that Trump turned upside down. Beijing also promised stricter oversight of precursor chemicals used in the production of fentanyl, the synthetic opioid ravaging communities across North America. In exchange, Trump committed to halving his so-called fentanyl tariff, lowering it from 20 to 10%, and reducing overall tariffs to an average of about 45%. Both sides agreed to allow reciprocal visits by Trump and Xi within a year, suggesting an effort to re-establish a stable diplomatic rhythm, as was the case before Trump took office. Still, many in Washington, including national security hawks, remained wary. The U.S. Commerce Department had recently blacklisted thousands of Chinese firms, while China responded by broadening export controls on rare earth, exposing America's ongoing dependence on Chinese refining and manufacturing capacity. Behind the photo ops and handshakes lay deeper strategic ambiguities. Trump's original objectives in launching the trade war were never clearly defined. Was he seeking to revive traditional American manufacturing, contain China's technological rise, or simply assert U.S. dominance? Or was he just flexing his muscles without any knowledge of international trade. Over time, the dispute evolved from an economic spat into a test of geopolitical power between the world's two largest economies. For China, the confrontation became an opportunity to demonstrate resilience and protect itself as a responsible global actor resisting US coercion. For Trump, it became a stage for unpredictable maneuvering, contrasting with Xi's steadier war of position. The temporary truce may ultimately favor Beijing. The one-year pause buys Xi valuable time to accelerate China's transition toward green technologies and advanced manufacturing, sectors already central to its latest 5-year plan. The perception of calm diplomacy could also enhance China's international standing, portraying it as measured and pragmatic compared with Trump's impulsive and unintelligent style. For the United States, however, the outcome is more ambiguous. While Trump supporters may view the Busan meeting as proof of his deal-making prowess, critics in Congress see a familiar pattern: bold threats followed by partial retreats. The Senate's decision to challenge his tariffs reflects a broader discomfort with the instability such tactics create. Yet even as the legislative branch seeks to reassert itself, the House of Representatives appears unlikely to act. Republican leaders have instituted procedural rules preventing tariff resolutions from even reaching the floor, effectively shielding Trump's trade agenda from further congressional scrutiny and oversight. Whether the latest understanding with China endures remains uncertain. The deal lacks detailed enforcement mechanisms, and both sides retain ample room for backtracking. As previous trade truces have shown, goodwill can evaporate quickly once domestic pressures mount. Trump himself hinted at this fluidity during his flight back from South Korea, deflecting questions about export licenses for U.S. technology firms and the fate of the Chinese company ByteDance's U.S. operations. That didn't come up, he told reporters, an answer that only reinforced how provisional the supposed breakthroughs may be. In the end, the dual storylines of the week, the Senate's bipartisan stand and the tentative US-China detente, underscore a single truth. America's trade policy remains suspended between assertion and restraint, between confrontation abroad and decision at home. Trump's tariff wars have tested not only global supply chains, but also the constitutional balance of power within the United States. The temporary peace with China may calm markets, but it does little to settle the larger debate about what kind of global role America should play, or how it should wield its economic might in an increasingly multipolar world. I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5-Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with MeidasTouch.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.